This program is about an unsolved mystery. Whenever possible, the actual family members and police officers have participated in recreating the events. What you are about to see is not a news broadcast. Today, we examine the same mystery that we've been examining for months, if not years. It has been recreated in detail on this show, with the hope of someone watching may know the truth. Join me. You may be able to help solve a mystery. Boulder, Colorado, December 26, 1996. Some call it Boxing Day. Patsy Ramsey.
I couldn't read the whole thing. I just gotten up. It was the day after Christmas, and it was quite early in the morning, and I had gotten dressed and was on my way to the kitchen to make some coffee. And we have a back staircase from the bedroom areas, and I always come down that staircase, and I'm usually the first one down. The note was lying across the 3 pages across the run of one of the stairs, and it was kind of dimly lit. It was very early in the morning, and I started to read it, and it was addressed to John. It said, Mr. Ramsey. And it said, we have your daughter. And it just wasn't registering. And I may have gotten through another sentence, like, we have your daughter, and I don't know if I got any further than that. And I immediately ran back upstairs and pushed open her door, and she was not in her bed. And I screamed for John.
And John came down and I said, she's gone, there's a note, she's been kidnapped. Yes, her daughter, JonBenet, wasn't in her bedroom that morning. John Ramsey, JonBenet's father, when did you first see the ransom note? How did you get a hold of it?
Patsy handed it to me that morning. Yes.
Do you know what happened to the ransom note after Patsy handed it to you?
I gave it to Officer French when he arrived.
You say you had an opportunity to read the ransom note when it was initially discovered by Patsy.
Yes.
Is that correct? Can you tell me how much time you spent reading it?
Not specifically. I spread it out on the floor and tried to read it as quickly as possible.
Do you know what happened to the ransom note after you gave it to Officer French?
Not for certain. I think they took it and made copies of it.
Do you remember the next time you saw the ransom note?
I think Linda Arndt or someone gave me a Xerox copy of it that morning as we were waiting.
When she gave you a copy of the ransom note, did you at any point in the morning read it again?
Yes.
Did you read it more than once?
Yes.
Do you remember how many times you may have read it?
No.
Would you say a dozen times?
I don't remember. I mean, I was trying to figure out, to the best of my ability, who in the world had my daughter.
And were you looking at the ransom note for that purpose?
Yes.
When you were looking at the ransom note, was there anything in the language of the ransom note that struck you as peculiar?
The whole thing was peculiar. We were addressed as Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, and then they switched to John.
The practice note was addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey.
We were addressed as Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, and the way the note was signed was very odd. They asked for $20 bills and $100 bills, as I recall. The amount was a very odd amount.
Here in this interview, you just heard John say that it was an odd amount. However, in his book, he said that We had given this information to the police, so he believed that the ransom amount was his work bonus amount. But on the morning of December 26, John didn't share any information about that $118,000 ransom amount.
Were there any phrases in that ransom note that you thought were peculiar?
I don't remember at that time that I thought that, but certainly later we focused in on some phrases that seemed very peculiar.
Can you tell me what phrases you were focusing on as peculiar?
Oh, I think the grow a brain phrase was one that looked odd. You're not the only fat cat in this town, John. Your good common southern sense or something like that.
Did those phrases seem peculiar to you?
On reflection they did. I don't remember how they struck me that morning.
Had you ever heard any of those phrases used in relation to you before?
In relation to me, no.
Had you heard anybody that you knew ever use those as common phrases in their speech?
Yes.
Can you identify them?
Priscilla White used the term fat cat in my presence.
Did anybody in your family ever use any of those phrases?
No.
So you're certain that you don't remember anybody in your family using any of the phrases in the ransom note?
I am certain I don't remember ever hearing anyone in my family using any of those phrases.
Detective Linda Arndt wasn't available for our program, so we're just going to read from her police reports. There were at least 3 times when John Ramsey was not present in the den when the phone rang. I personally saw John Ramsey run to the den to answer the phone. I paced back and forth in front of the telephone, desperately wanting it to ring, but it doesn't. 10 o'clock comes and goes. Nothing. John Ramsey told me that he and his family had been at a dinner party held at the Fleet White home on the afternoon and evening of December 25th, 1996. John, Patsy, Burke, and JonBenet had returned home at approximately 10 p.m. John told me that Patsy and Burke immediately went to bed. John had read a book to JonBenet, tucked her into bed, then John went to bed. John said he went to bed at approximately 10:30 p.m. Let me ask you this, John. Did Patsy write the ransom note?
It's highly improbable that Patsy wrote this note based on their testing and our testing.
Do you know if she was the only one that law enforcement could not completely eliminate as the...
No, in fact, I was told that your client had fewer dissimilarities than Patsy had with the note.
Without revealing an attorney-client privilege, do you know who told you that? Was it a law enforcement source or was it your private investigators?
I don't recall.
Officer Rick French wasn't available for our program either. So we're just going to read from his police reports and other police reports regarding his observations. A little police report hearsay. Linda Arndt's report. Officer French told me that when he arrived, he met with Patsy Ramsey, JonBenet's mother. Patsy was very upset and distraught, and it was difficult for Officer French to obtain information from her. I was standing on the step, and pretty soon a squad car came, Officer came up, and I remember thinking, because it said somewhere in the note, if you do that, if you call somebody, that's not good, blah, blah, blah. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, I hope they are not watching me. I mean, what if they are watching? If the policeman comes, I mean, all this was just rushing through my head. Where was John at the time the officer arrived? Oh, I don't know. I remember I don't know where he was. I walked out onto the front step there, and I was just kind of out of it. I was hysterical. I said that there was a note and that our daughter had been kidnapped and we were trying to get the money, and I don't remember. Okay, so you met the officer when he came up to the front door? Right. You were the one that opened the door for him? Right. Patsy sure seemed to know a lot about the ransom note without reading the whole thing. In her second police interview, she attempts to explain how she knew these details. Well, I came back down and John had it, on the floor and whatnot, and I was glancing at it. And somewhere I thought in there, because I didn't read it line by line, I looked over to see who it was from, and I didn't know who that was. And somewhere I caught in there where it said if you call some, don't call the police, or whatever it said that. Oh, here, police, FBI, etc. Your daughter's being held. And I read that, and my blood just went cold. I couldn't. John Ramsey directed me through the house and pointed out a 3-page handwritten note, which was laid on the wooden floor just west of the kitchen area. He told me that his wife had found the note on the bottom step of the stairs. Do you recall, did the note go back upstairs with you when you went up to check JonBenet's room? I don't remember exactly, but I don't think so. I think I just, pounced up the stairs as fast as I could. I don't think I took it with me. Do you recall moving the note from the stairs to its eventual position where John read it on the floor? I don't recall moving it, no. Do you ever recall touching the note? Not specifically, but I may have. Later on that morning the note was on the coffee table, and I remember in the TV room, and we were talking about did anyone recognize the handwriting, so I may have touched it then. Okay. But I just can't remember. Okay, again, do you remember what you told John about JonBenet missing and the note? Do you remember the conversation that you had? It said she's been kidnapped. I don't remember exactly. I was just out of my mind. I think she's been kidnapped. There's a note. We gotta do something. I just can't remember what. I was just running around like crazy. Update. Patsy Ramsey died of cancer in 2006. Well, this ends this episode of Unsolved, and the point of this video was that Patsy really doesn't know when she handed the note to John Ramsey, and that's because she didn't hand the note to John Ramsey. She never did, and there's no way to make sense of it, because if she took it upstairs, then why would John take it all the way downstairs and lay it out on the floor to read it?